I'm Mike Hanawald, field agronomist with Beck's Hybrids, and I'm standing here in a wheat field this morning. Most of us have been focused on planting corn and soybeans the last several weeks, but don't want to forget about our wheat crop as we advance here through the spring. So our wheat is getting to be at a pretty important growth stage right now. It's beginning the process of pollination or flowering. So you can see here in this field that the heads have fully emerged. I was out here last night and took a look at the field, and the heads were all out, but as of last night, there were no anthers present, and flowering hadn't started yet. But yet here this morning already, it's about 7 o'clock in the morning, you can see that flowering has already begun. And so in just a short period of time, we transition from heading to the flowering growth stage. It comes upon us fairly quickly. So as you're scouting the wheat crop, the thing to look for are the anthers on the wheat. And as you take a look here, you'll see you've got your wheat head with your spikelets, but then the anthers begin to grow out of the end of the spikelets and begin to release pollen. A very similar process to what we see in corn during the pollination time frame. And just like in corn, that pollination is a pretty important determining factor in our yield. It is in wheat also. Now, to know where you're at in the flowering process, you can look at the head of the wheat, and you can see that when flowering begins, the anthers will begin to open near the center of the spike and work their way from the center out to the top and bottom. And so as you can see in the picture here, the wheat head has those anthers showing up right there in the center of the head, and as I mentioned this morning is the first day of flowering for this wheat crop, and those anthers will continue to open up and down the head as we progress over the next several days. The reason that this is important is that during the flowering timing, that is when our wheat is most susceptible to infection of Fusarium head blight, which is a disease that causes head scab and then can potentially lead to vomitoxin in the grain. And so, as we know, vomitoxin is not a good thing for grain quality and can potentially lead to big discounts in our grain quality when we haul a grain into the elevator. And so anything we can do to reduce that is going to be a good idea. We want to be applying a fungicide at this time frame if we're at a high risk. Now, the couple pieces to think about is not just the growth stage of the crop, but also thinking about the weather that we're going to be experiencing. And so Penn State University, in partnership with Ohio State, has a pretty good tool called Wheat Scab. And what this tool does is it looks at the weather forecast for any given area over the next several days and gives you kind of a stoplight pattern, a red, green, or a yellow rating. And so right now, the entire state of Ohio is at a low risk as of this morning, Monday morning the 24th. We're at a low risk right now because we've been fairly dry. However, even though we're at a low risk right now, there are some chances of rain this week, which would increase the risk that we would have of Fusarium head blight being a problem. So we'll want to keep an eye on that. The other thing is that as you're walking the field and taking a look at the leaves and see if you have the beginnings of any leaf diseases, because while head scab is the main disease that we're targeting, if we have any leaf diseases present, the fungicides we use can help to clean those up as well. So the timing for the fungicide is during flowering. Again, that's about a 5 to 6 day window after you see the anthers first emerge, and so you want to hit that timing pretty well. When it comes to products to use, we have two PFR proven fungicides. We have Fusarium and Caramba. We've seen very consistent positive results in PFR over the last several years. You can see there on your screen that they have performed very well. So those are very consistent and very reliable. The other fungicide I want to just highlight briefly, it's not yet PFR proven because we haven't tested it enough years yet. However, Maravis Ace is a newer fungicide from Syngenta. And the thing about Maravis is that they claim that you can widen out your application window beyond just that flowering stage. And so the claim is that you can begin that application as soon as the head is 50% emerged from the stem of the plant. And so much earlier at Feeks 10.3 as opposed to the later growth stage of Feeks 10.5.1 when you have flowering beginning. And so by applying earlier, that makes your application window much wider. And while it's always a challenge, especially if you're still spraying corn and soybeans, to get the sprayer cleaned out and get across the wheat field, having a wider application window can really help out. But does it actually work? Well, last year in PFR at our Ohio PFR site in London, Ohio, we did test this product at both the Feeks 10.3 and the 10.5.1 growth stages. So both at head emergence and then again at flowering. And both times we saw very similar results, as you can see there on your screen. And so it's pretty exciting that the product did work as claimed, at least last year in our 2020 testing. And so we're looking forward to continuing that testing going forward in 2021. So again, just make sure you're scouting your wheat fields, looking to see if flowering is occurring, and then making the appropriate decision when it comes to getting that fungicide sprayed and trying to do it timely. If you have any questions about this or any other agronomic topic, feel free to reach out to myself or your local Beck's representative, and we would be happy to help.